Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and thanks for joining us for another episode of FPL Fix. Game week 10 was the week of the CDMs, with Rice, Caicedo, Xhaka and even Casemiro among the top point scorers, but as long as you had the armband on Gabriel or Haaland, your team probably did pretty well. In this episode we'll be covering the most transferred players, the best teams and assets to targets, and we'll finish off with our team reveals ahead of game week 11. My name's James and here with me as usual is Patrick. How did you get on last week, mate?
Hi everyone. What a painful game week. I bought Salah this week instead of Mateta, and it all went downhill from there, to be honest. I had returns from Raya, Gehi and Haaland, but literally every other player let me down. And watching Saka miss two absolute sitters was the icing on a cake. Anyway, enough about my disaster class. How did you get on with your wildcard?
Yeah, really unlucky, mate. Mine was a bit better, but still not great either. I had been on a run of 4 green arrows, but wildcarding this week gave me a small red, which isn't ideal. That said, without the wildcard, I'd have been 15 plus points worse off and in a really tough spot, so I'm fine with it overall. The team's set up really nicely for the next few weeks as well. The standout new signings were Calafiori, Munoz, Mateta, and then Caicedo, who of course I painfully left on the bench. So yeah, tiny red arrow, but the rank is still decent, so no major complaints from me. Let's leave game week 10 behind us and look ahead at 11. And first up, the most transferred players.
On screen you can see the most transferred players from game week 11. And as you can see, the numbers are really low this week. That's mainly because we've had a midweek European games and people holding off until closer to the deadline.
Starting with the players being sold, and we have two midfielders in Kudus and Reinders at the top. Kudus has blanked in his last 3 games now, and Spurs do have some tough fixtures coming up. Reinders has been frustrating managers since game week 2 following his 10-pointer in game week 1. He did pick up 2 assists in the Champions League midweek though, so could be worth holding on to if there's other issues to deal with in your teams.
The other 3 being sold are all forwards. Gyökeres is being sold mostly because of his injury. Watermada only played 45 minutes last week, but with Gordon now injured, he should be the main penalty taker, so I think it's a definite hold for now. Ekatike is the 3rd highest striker being sold. After his blistering start, he's now blanked in his last 5 games, so even with great fixtures on the horizon, the threat of Isak returning might be enough for him to be a sell.
Now taking a look at the players being bought, and Mateta has the biggest numbers here. He's got great stats, which we'll dig deeper into a little bit later, and he seems clear as the second best forward in the game after Haaland.
2 defensive mids are next, in Rice and Caicedo, and it sits 2nd and 3rd respectively in the top point scorers for midfielders. They have so many routes to points, and their numbers have been really great. It's not a major surprise to see managers switch into them, especially at their price range of 6 to 7 million.
Next up is Gabriel, and he's been ridiculous this season. He's 14 points clear at the top ahead of teammate Timber, and he's been unstoppable lately. Last on the list is Mbeumo. He blanked last time out, but he has been quite consistent so far this season. He should get returns in his next 5 with the fixtures United have before he heads off to AFCON.
Yeah, some huge names on the move this week, but how many of them actually make our shortlist for players to target?
The teams firmly on our radar this week are Chelsea, Crystal Palace and Bournemouth. Aston Villa also have a good run, so they get an honourable 4th spot, but not many of their players are screaming out to be picked up. Let's break down the players by position.
Starting in goal, Petrovic looks like a standout. He's 4.5 million. He's the 5th highest scoring keeper, and with Bournemouth's upcoming fixtures, he should do really well. Sanchez is the next best, but when you've got a 4 million Dubravka outscoring him, it doesn't really fill us with confidence.
Moving on to defence, Reece James was top of the list, but I'm not so sure now. He'd played 90 minutes in 6 straight league games and was being rested elsewhere, so it looked like his fitness was being managed well, but he ended up playing the full Champions League match on Wednesday, which puts his minutes back at risk again. If he does start though, Chelsea's fixtures are great and he's an exciting pick with huge attacking upside. If you want a Chelsea defender who's slightly cheaper and potentially more nailed for minutes, then Chalobah looks the next best. He's Chelsea's highest scoring defender this season and only costs 5.1 million.
Yeah, and the other teams have really good defender options too. Guehi from Palace has been incredible. He's a 3rd top scoring defender and only 5 million. He's been solid this season for defensive contribution, clean sheets and the odd attacking returns too. Munoz is the next best. He's the most exciting defender from Palace, but we need to wait for the press conference because he came off with an injury scare in Europe. He doesn't get many DEFCON points, but he plays more like a winger than a defender and really gets involved in a final third.
Bournemouth have a couple of great options worth looking at too. Senesi and Truffer have been great. They've had some tough fixtures lately, but move into an easier run now, and I expect some more returns from the pair in the next few weeks.
Yeah, loads of great options there. Now let's move into the midfield, and Caicedo actually looks like the number one Chelsea midfield asset. He's 0.7 million cheaper than the next best, Enzo Fernandez. He's outscored him by 13 points so far. Next up is Semenyo. He's been a bit of a disappointment in the last few weeks since his brilliant start to the season. With Evan Nelson returning from injury though, and with Bournemouth's fixtures getting easier, he could get back to his early season form. He's still the top scoring midfielder in the game, despite not getting an attacking return since the 3rd of October, so over a month ago.
Last on the list is Ismaila Sarr. His attacking returns have been a bit sporadic lately, but he's an incredible player to watch. He should be the main man to link up with Mateta, and I think he could catapult himself up to one of the highest scoring midfielders in the next few weeks. He showed his quality again with another brace in the Europa Conference League this week.
And now the forwards. Mateta seems a standout option here. He scored 6 goals, had 25 shots in the box and 15 big chances, which are all second after Erling Haaland. Next is João Pedro, and this one's trickier. He went through a rough run with barely any shots, but scored last week, and said in his post-match interview that he's been struggling with fitness but feels much better now. With Chelsea's fixtures and his price dropping to 7.4 million, he could be a bargain. But with all that being said, he did play 71 minutes midweek and 0 shots again, and created a total of 0.05 expected assist. He's not the most consistent forward, but is explosive when he does get chances.
Yeah, and the last option here is a big differential, but worth a look. It's Evan Nielsen. He's just 1.4% owned, but he's only just back from injury, so might be one to monitor until after the international break. If he even comes close to his form from last season, then he could be right up there with the chances Bournemouth have been creating lately. So those are the players to target. Now let's move on to our Game Week 11 team reveals, and I'll kick things off. This week, I'm lining up with a 3-4-3 again. In goal, I've got Petrovic up against Aston Villa. In defence, I've got the Arsenal double-up of Calafiori and Gabriel, which looks really strong given the last time Arsenal conceded in any competition was back in September. Daniel Munoz completes the lineup with a decent home fixture against Brighton, but if he does miss out through injury, then I'm happy for Hartman to step in against West Ham. In midfield, I've got the 3 S's of Saka, Semenyo and Sarr again this week, and I'm hoping they can all bounce back after their blanks last time out, especially with Saka and Sarr being emphatic in Europe. Caicedo takes my last midfield spot and pushes King to the bench, where he'll probably stay until he gets sold now. Caicedo's been overperforming with his attacking numbers, and at home to Wolves should be a great chance to continue that run, so I'm hoping he can repeat his double-digit haul from last time out. My 3 at the front start with Captain Haaland, who I'm not concerned about the tough Liverpool fixture with because of his insane home form lately. Mateta versus Brighton, who should get chances, and Big Nick Woltemade, who I'm just hoping gets more than 45 minutes this time out. How's your team looking, mate?
Well, my team looks much stronger this week. I'm going into it pretty confidently. The team even looks bench boost worthy, but I don't think I'll play that chip yet. I've got Raya in goal against Sunderland, then a back 3 playing at home with Guehi, Van der Ven and Diouf. My midfielders this week are Semenyo and Saka, both playing away but with decent matchups, and then Enzo and Sarr, both playing at home. I want to start my new signing Caicedo, but I just can't take any of my starters off. I've gone with the front 3 this week, with Bowen at home to Burnley, which looks really good, Mateta against Brighton, and Haaland who's playing Liverpool, but he's at home and he will be my captain again.
Nice one, mate. Looks really solid, and I'll be honest with you, I'd probably play the bench boost in your spot. Well, that just about wraps up our Game Week 11 preview.
Yeah, hopefully this one treats us a bit better than last week. Let us know in the comments what transfers you're making and who you're captaining for this one.
As always, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, it really helps the channel out, and if you're new around here, hit subscribe so you don't miss our next content.
Yeah, and make sure to follow us on X at Weekend Fix for last minute tips and information ahead of the deadline.
Thanks for watching, good luck this game week, and we'll see you next time.